And then I was pretty much on my own. It's difficult to find people to come back to work. You lose hope. And I knew losing hope was wrong.
That you're not carrying the burden alone. Am I right to say this was what you experienced? Many veterans carry hidden scars. Can you explain what hidden trauma looked like in your life, especially in your business life? Because you were a tax accountant and you had to deal with figures and with people as well.
Yeah, in the earlier days, as I would do, I'd take any client regardless. I always thought that, well, okay, there's no question about it. I can help this person. I can do whatever. I was a Marine, so there was no question of mine I could handle it. And as time went on, of course, then you start making mistakes. And as the trauma builds up, as it becomes more and more pressure and more force on the inside, because it's unresolved and it's not admitted, it just builds the intensity. And then as I was older, I was starting to make mistakes, and things came with the pandemic, and I lost all the employees for the most part. And then I was pretty much on my own. It's difficult to find people to come back to work. And so those situations just built the pressure even more so. And it just came to the point where that's all I could do.
But due to COVID, you had to do all the work by yourself because, during COVID, most people were in their bubble, family bubble. So it must have been very tough as well, doing all the work.
You're absolutely right. And the fact is that particular pressure was on top of all the other trauma that I had experienced in my life. And so it was just piled on.
Thank you. At what point did you realize that the pressure and trauma had led to burnout?
Eventually, the way it worked was I realized I wasn't just tired. It was physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual exhaustion. The burnout and trauma that affects an individual is deeper than just fatigue. It's when your purpose begins to feel empty. I had been friends with God off and on at different times. I write about that in the book too. But when you lose your perspective of your religion or your spirituality, when that's totally exhausted, you lose hope. And I knew losing hope was wrong, but there was nothing actually I thought that I could ever do about that. And so when it led me to that breaking point, Grace, I'm here to tell you, Marines don't like to be broken, but that night I broke and I surrendered. Surrender is not a word that you hear a Marine use, but this is a different surrender. I talked about it's my surrender to Christ, which was a good surrender. And that was the beginning. Not an instant healing by any means, but it got me on the right path.
Thank you. Surrendering to Christ is the ultimate for Christians. You're saying indirectly, I hand over my worries, my cares, what is going on with me, I hand them over to you. I place them in your hands. Take charge, Lord Jesus. And when you do that, you have this sense of relief that you're not carrying the burden alone. Am I right to say this was what you experienced?
That's 100% correct. The one thing with the trauma is to know that you are not alone. And you mentioned earlier about family, my wife. Most important guide that I had after I surrendered was Jesus.
Be safe and be positive. And don't forget to check out our social media handles. Thank you. Bye for now.